So despite the past couple of months, the various actions taken against the 40K community and the shenanigans by Games Workshop, I believe this is the long-term problem. This is the biggest challenge that Games Workshop is facing right now. And from the perspective of just one person, but one person who really loves the 40K community and has been fortunate enough to be plugged into the 40K community for a long time, in addition to playing Warhammer 40,000 for many, many years and various other gaming systems, being able to see that long-term trend. And in my opinion, this trend is hidden and it's starting to have echoes. It's starting to really, I see it, not only in my local meta, but online, but also in various hobby stores, the shift from Games Workshop to other systems. So I believe that this is the challenge that Games Workshop is facing in the next couple of years, and they really, really need to address this. Now, can they do it? Can they do it? They can. Previously, 5th to 6th edition 40K, back in the dawn of time with 40K, that iteration of it, there was some challenges with the rules. There was some challenges with updates. Games Workshop was losing market share. X-Wing Miniatures was just blasting out of the gate. And Games Workshop was forced to course correct. But this was an external force pushing on them. This current correction that I think they need to make, this is entirely internal, entirely of their own making. Okay, what do I believe this is in the moment? There is a duality. We have the rules and we have the models. You can have 40K without the models. I mean, you could proxy your own Grimdark and print up your own stuff, but you need the rules. Games Workshop makes their money primarily from the models. The rules are an excuse to play with your toys and drive the model sales. Now, I've done this. Chain of Command, World War II, fantastic wargaming rule set. One of the best, if not the best, and I love you, Battletech, one of the best, if not the best miniature rule sets out there with what you can do, how it dynamically plays. I've taken my 40K models and used that rule set. So certainly you could take the Grimdark and the lore in the 40K and play that elsewhere and play that otherwise. But primarily, a lot of us play with the 40K rules because that captures the Grimdark, but it's also the universal language. And I'm talking about 40K right now, of course, Age of Sigmar, Lord of the Rings, other systems. Being able to play the 40K rule set means I can take my miniatures and it's a passport to go anywhere. I could show up at your club, I could show up at your man cave, and we could play some 40K. Might be some house rules, might be some things I get wrong, but we would have that commonality to use and enjoy the models that we collect. So certainly the rules for 40K are very important. But jumping into those rules, the rules for 40K really are not that good. They're not. They're reactionary at best. And what I mean by that is Games Workshop has no motivation to fix them, no motivation to make them play very, very tight. And out of the various incarnations of 40K, this is one of the better rule sets. Is that really saying much? But from that perspective, the rules are kind of all over the place. They are not balanced. And as you put in the various factions, armies, units, models, limited release stuff, pull in random wacky stuff from other places, the whole thing just falls apart. So you have to be willing to approach it from the perspective of this is a very open toolkit and recommendations and make a lot of decisions on your own. Games Workshop, in doing that, the rules are not stable. How they've corrected that in the past, again, being reactionary. Release a new rule set, release an update, release a FAQ, release chapter approved, release a new army, or just ignore it from that perspective. So this has been pushing up more and more to wargaming systems that have been recently designed or designed using current game theory that are really solid. There's a lot of really amazing rule sets out there. Just as an example, now 40K is a mass combat game. This is a skirmish-based game. God Tier is an amazing skirmish-based game. The rules were built in the here and now, built from the ground up, and play absolutely fantastically, have so much innovation. The game has not only captured my imagination, this is the skirmish rule set that I always wanted. I'm going to proxy my 40K models with it. It can be done. It has been done. Games Workshop won't do it because the rules are so bloated and they don't want to put the resources into those rules. And they don't need to. It needs to be just good enough. But what this leads to is frustration on the player side, where your army that you build and paint and collect and love, it's constantly shifting. It's constantly moving up, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. We're not even getting into competitive 40K yet. But this constant shift can be a little bit annoying. You don't want your army to be static. You don't never want updates or new units, but it needs to play tighter. It needs to be better. This creates internal frustration. This breaks down that commonality that you and I might have. So on the one side, Games Workshop is pushing that with the rules. It's creating that friction. On the other side, this is the big side, the model side. Their practices are just out of control. Yes, make money. Yes, charge me $3 or $4 for a model that costs, 2 cents USD to make. Okay, that's the way it goes. I mean, that's the hobby, right? But the fact that it has accelerated so much, where you're looking and saying, not only are these prices out of control, crazy, I can't plan my purchases because of FOMO, because everything is limited release, because everything is not really in stock. You've got some basic troop choices you can't get a hold of. From that perspective, it makes it frustrating and hard to acquire the models. Layer that over that, yes, no one is physically stopping you from 3D printing, or not that I'm condoning 3D printing, or playing your own models from other systems, or even, look, I'm not allowed to use my 3rd edition Tyranid army. Games Workshop says you can only use current models. And I tested that out at a certain place, and it's true. So, but that doesn't prevent me from playing them with you or playing them at home. So, but from that perspective, you have to use the most recent models, and maybe you want to acquire them because of how they look and the rules. But from that perspective, it makes it hard to plan that out. It makes it hard to play it. It makes it hard to purchase it. So as an enthusiast, you have both sides of Games Workshop's primary business model just not really being effective, being very, very clunky, being alienated. It makes it hard. It makes it hard to do. They can easily correct these things. How they can correct it? Just look, actually research the rules, actually put some development into the rules. It might not have the hard turnaround of profits like you're thinking, meaning we didn't move 1,000 units, but if it makes the game more playable, more scalable, and easy to integrate, then yes, that will lead to a better user experience. And likewise on the model side, produce them for longer. But that's an addictive business model. I mean, it's working. It's working. They're making tons of money. They're not going to switch that. So what we see is this churn and burn. We see the fact that other wargaming systems are out there. Other wargaming systems are coming online more, like BattleTech. And you're seeing a number of players looking and saying, I won't say outright leaving Games Workshop. I know a few. I've seen a few. But certainly a majority of players saying, hey, I love Games Workshop's models. I love Games Workshop's 40K. I don't necessarily like Games Workshop. I'm going to play 40K like myself. I'm going to continue playing. I'm going to continue enjoying the Grimdark with my friends. But I'm also going to enjoy other gaming systems. And some of that money, time, and resources that I was putting into 40K, I'm going to put a little bit more into BattleTech. I'm putting it into God Tier. I'm putting it into Pacific Rim. I'm putting it into Wings of Glory, Chain of Command, other X-Wing miniatures, other systems that are out there to play. Games Workshop needs to fix this. What do I think is going to be next? Here's what I think is going to be next. And then we'll turn it over to you guys in the comments. There's going to be another edition of 40K. Because when Games Workshop gets to the breaking point of their rules, they kind of reset it with a new edition. That also allows them to rechurn Space Marines and push Space Marines again. And anytime there is a new edition of a gaming system, this has always been the GW short-term fix, short-term cash infusion. Release a new rule set. Everyone that is forced into 40K right now is forced to buy a new rule set. And this is true with Dungeons & Dragons. We saw this with 4th edition D&D, and I've been on record saying I like 4th edition D&D. I still play it. From that perspective, anytime you release a new set of rules, not only is it a chance to charge money for stuff that most players already have, force them to buy, it does bring back new players. It does bring back old players, and it does bring in new players. You have the excitement of a new rule set, someone that's been sitting out of 40K for a while saying, yeah, maybe I'll jump back into 40K. I mean, I did that. I'm showing my 40K timeline. I stepped out of third because all of my friends stopped playing, and 4th edition came out, and I saw it, and I said, hey, I think I'm going to jump back into this 40K thing. It's a new edition. This is a great chance to jump back into 40K. Not that I ever left. It kind of went dormant. So I know the effect. I've seen it. Of new editions. In addition to the fact that if you're already a 40K player, you're going to have to buy new stuff and introduce new rules and reboot your army and tear off half your stuff and put on new stuff. That has always been the GW fix. But I see next 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, yes, threats from piracy. Yes, threats from 3D printing. Yes, threats from other gaming systems. Games Workshop is going to have to navigate all of these. But I see the big threat being internal. Got to do something with the player experience. Got to do something with the models. Okay, you're not going to bring down cost. Change the FOMO, change the release structure, or at least commit and say, look, these are going to be in print, and these are not going to be in print because they're going to be limited release. Just have that level of communication be much better.